happened a couple of weeks before the Super Bowl? All the pundits, everybody said they're going to lose, right? Because the Kansas City Chiefs are so big and powerful. What happened? We won! Philadelphia won. Remember when they said Ukraine would fall in 3 days? All the pundits, everybody. 3 days, 3 days. It's been 3 bloody years. Ukraine is still standing. Ukraine stands! Now, unfortunately, it's not really a proud moment to talk about standing in a bloody war, because nobody wants peace more than Ukraine. Nobody ever wanted in Ukraine to have Russia invade. You don't want a neighbor that's as big as 11 time zones to invade you. Ukraine did nothing wrong. Ukraine did not provoke the war. Ukraine only wanted peace and justice for its own citizens. And we look at the tremendous sacrifice that has been made by men, women, and children. They have been suffering, but they have been fighting. I, here in Philadelphia, work with Revived Soldiers Ukraine. It is a group that brings severely wounded soldiers to the United States. It is a privilege to work with these heroes. Yesterday, I took one to Wills Eye Hospital. He had an implant put in his eye because he was blind. The implant was put in, and he looked at me, and he said, "I can see your face. I can see your beard. I can see your mustache." You know what that feels like, to see a miracle in front of your eyes? That miracle is Ukraine. But Ukraine needs support from the entire world, and I think they're getting it from everybody except from the one place they should be giving it the most support. And that is the White House. I saw a senator today on television, and he said, "I don't understand why everybody's dumping on the president. After all, when Reagan befriended Gorbachev, everything was okay." Well, what's wrong with that picture?
Not the same thing.
Gorbachev did not buy Trump's property in Florida for 3 times its value. Gorbachev did not invade a country. Gorbachev, by all accounts, was a relatively reasonable person. Whether you agreed with all of his politics or not, he sure as hell wasn't the warmonger. He wasn't the war criminal. Yes, he was a product of a vicious system, but he somehow managed to save some humanity. What you see in the Kremlin today is nothing short of the devil incarnate. There is only one way to deal with a person like that. You have to stomp him out. And if we can't do it militarily because somebody's afraid to send more weapons to Ukraine, have the balls to really squeeze them economically. You can see they're teetering because Putin wouldn't want to go and talk to anybody if it wasn't for the fact that he saw and realized that his country's in shambles.
Trump's a Russian asset.
So we have this situation where we need to have the President of the United States again become the leader of the free world. And I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I want to share a story with you. Last summer, I had the privilege of taking another one of these wounded Ukrainian soldiers to Alaska. When I first met him, he told me, he said, "I read Jack London as a little kid, and I've always dreamed of being in Alaska." He says, "I'm here in the United States now. I'd really like to go." Now, he didn't know anything about me, but I'm retired, and I had a driving gig up in Alaska, so I've been there a couple of times, and I know some people, and I said, "You're talking to the right guy." And we took him there. We took him to Haines. And just northwest of Haines is a little Native American village called Klukwan, which means eternal village in the native Tlingit language. And there is a beautiful museum of the Tlingit culture. And Jack Strong, one of the leaders there, took us aside and he looked at me, he says, translate this exactly. And he looked at the soldier and he said, in 1705, the Russians sailed up to a village called Yakutat on the Gulf of Alaska. They tried to invade and take us over. We defeated them. 50 years later, they sailed up this river right here. He pointed to the river, Chilkat River, right in front of us. He said, we burned their boats to the waterline. They came back a year later on land. We met them on the hill over there. We pulled out a tattered, burned Russian flag. They turned around and went away. And he says, remember that.
Yes.
Remember that. Because Russia only understands power. And if you hit them, they're going to move away. So folks, thank you for your support. Slava Ukraini.
Hit Russia hard! 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 Hit Russia hard!
Hit Russia hard! That's on.
Stand with Ukraine! 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 Stand with Ukraine!
Can I say something?
Yes, sure.
You know, you all watched the fiasco between Trump and Zelensky. Provocateurs, Trump and
Disgrace!
Vance were great provocateurs. They provoked President Zelensky.
There's the website right
And Trump kept saying how disrespectful Zelensky was. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, Trump kept saying how disrespectful President Zelensky was. President Zelensky was very respectful, but how disrespectful was Trump when he went behind Zelensky's back and made a deal with the devil Putin, right? And then he went and made another deal with the devil Lavrov. He sent his three stooges to Saudi Arabia to make a deal. Mr. President, the Ukraine does not owe anything to their debt. Russia has to pay the debt.
Yes.
Pay the debt. President Biden used to say very often in his news conferences that Russia has a lot of frozen billions and billions of dollars of frozen assets in the United States. Use that money to pay the debt. And not only that, Russia has to pay for the reconstruction of Ukraine. And President Trump, you were so disrespectful to Ukrainians when you said Ukraine maybe will go and be part of Russia. Never! Ukrainians are Slavic people and Russians are Mongol Tatars. They could never live together. And then President Trump is a big real estate investor. However, Putin made the biggest land grab in history. He put a stake in the White House, and it's the beginning. He made the United States the 22nd Republic of Russia. And all thanks to Comrade Trump. Right? We have a terrible president. We have a megalomaniac who's evil and vicious. And we have a sycophant cabinet, sycophant vice president, and sycophant speaker of the House. When Putin takes over the United States, he'll have a ready-made Politburo.
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine!
Louder! Much louder!
Really close. Okay. Thanks for help. Let's help each other this evening.
Fuck yeah!
Dear brothers and sisters, last Friday was a tough day. Yesterday was a tough day. Ukrainians have had a tough day 3 years in a row. Every day has been tough and they're standing. I've had the privilege to go to Ukraine 12 times. Here I serve as the Archbishop for Ukrainian Catholics in the United States, here in Philadelphia. And in the name of all Ukrainians in Ukraine and all Ukrainian Americans, I want to thank all of you, friends of Ukraine, for standing with Ukraine. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank you for praying. I want to thank you for advocating in an informed way. And I want to thank you for helping. There are people from Ukraine, from Philadelphia, that have gone to Ukraine and taken up defensive weapons to defend the innocent, defend justice, defend democracy, to defend freedom of the press, to defend freedom of religion. So I thank you. Every time I go to Ukraine, before coming back, the people I meet tell me thank the Americans, because we know Americans have their heart in the right place. You are those Americans.
USA! 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 USA!
Let me tell you something from the spiritual front. So far, the Russians have damaged or destroyed 670 churches. The spiritual front embraces schools. There's over 2,000 schools that have been in university buildings that have been damaged or destroyed. 1,500 hospitals damaged or destroyed. 15,000 miles of roads. Hundreds of bridges. 14 million people were forced from their homes. And yet Ukrainians stay together. There's 4 million IDPs. You know what IDPs are? Internally displaced persons, IDPs. 4 million people who have lost their homes. But you don't see any refugee camps in Ukraine. Because the poor have embraced the absolute destitute. The Ukrainian population is together. They're not whining. Ukrainians don't want your peace. They want global solidarity. They want the understanding of the truth. What is the truth? Who started this war? Who is the victim?
Ukraine!
It's pretty clear. It's black and white. And it moved our whole nation in 2022. We need to stick to the facts on the ground. Ukraine was given 3 days to survive. Then maybe 3 weeks. Everybody, even friends in Ukraine, even American leaders, friends in Ukraine, thought that Ukraine could not stand. But Ukraine is standing 3 years later. Now, when you go to explain this, it's good to know some
of the foundation of this stand. Why are Ukrainians standing? I want to give you a few reasons.
Freedom?
Freedom, democracy, free elections, freedom of the press, freedom of worship. Everywhere where the Russians have occupied, there are war crimes, there are crimes against humanity, there are mass graves, there's torture, and there's persecution of Catholics, of Orthodox, of Jews, and of Muslims. Muslims in Crimea are one of the most persecuted groups. Ukrainian Orthodox are forbidden. Ukrainian Catholic Church is illegal in occupied territory, as it has been every time Russians have occupied any part of Ukraine over the last 250 years. Can I just, so the American friends can see, there's quite a few Ukrainian Catholics here. Can you raise your hands? There's quite a few people who belong to a church that is rendered illegal every time there's Russian occupation. Our bishops are arrested, our priests are sent to Siberia, people are executed. It happens every time. In the 18th century, in the 19th century, in the 20th century, from 1946 to 1989, the Ukrainian Catholic Church was the biggest illegal church in the world, under Russian oppression, under Moscow's Soviet rule. And so Ukrainian Catholics know that it's all over every time there's Russian oppression. What happened in the 20th century? Between 1914 and 1950, 14, maybe 15 million Ukrainians were killed. During World War II, which was started by a pact between Moscow and Berlin, the Ribbentrop-Molotov pact between Hitler and Stalin, dividing Poland. As a result of that war, 7 million residents of Ukrainian lands were killed in 6 years. 7 million residents. And the people here, some of those who raise their hands, are refugees or children of those refugees from that war. My parents were refugees, and they were received in this land. And they contributed to this country. My father became a dentist in Syracuse, New York. My father served more welfare patients than any dentist in Syracuse, New York, from year to year. It was published in the newspaper. This is what immigrants do. They help each other. They cross racial lines. Why won't Ukrainians go back? Because they know Russian occupation is genocide. They know Russian occupation is the end of freedom of religion. They know that there will be war crimes. It's freedom or death for many Ukrainians. And so a million Ukrainians volunteered. They volunteered to support an army that has been reduced. It's important for everybody to understand Ukraine's peace-loving intention. Nobody wants peace more than Ukraine. Ukrainians don't declare it. They prove it. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, it had 900,000 soldiers. By 2014, when Putin attacked eastern Ukraine and Crimea, there were only 15,000 battle-ready troops in the Ukrainian army. Ukraine was not interested in war. It was not interested in the army. It was not interested in preparing for any sort of aggression. Ukraine was not a threat to Russia, but its democracy was a threat. Its freedom was a threat. Its free voice was a threat. Its solidarity was a threat. So when the Maidan demonstrated this freedom, and when the Russian leading president fled the country, Putin decided to punish Ukraine. It wasn't because of NATO. It wasn't because Ukraine was a threat. There was no NATO. Latinos, people who know what colonialism and slavery means in history. Today, Ukrainians are asked to go back to slavery, back to being a colony, back to being part of an empire. And their answer is a resolute no.
Yes!
No empire. No slavery, no boundaries. Nobody is going to take away our God-given dignity.
Woo!
That's what this struggle is all about. It's not about territory, dear friends. First of all, President Zelenskyy, the Ukrainian army, we church leaders, we care about the territory. But the territory is like a rug. It's sanctified by the presence of people. People make the land holy. People make that land valuable. And President Zelenskyy, the million people that volunteered for the army, the chaplains that are there, the journalists, 20 journalists have been killed reporting on this war. And I take off my hat before all who have sacrificed their lives. Did I mention 67 clergy have been killed? All of these people are defending people. It's not a question of money. It's not a question of power. It's not a question of dirt under our feet. It's people. It's children. What happens under Russian occupation? Children are abducted. These 20,000 children that have been abducted and taken to Russia and brainwashed to hate their own country. Can you imagine your children being taken away from you and taught to hate you? It's diabolical. It's criminal. And an international criminal court has indicted President Putin and his ombudswoman for Children's Affairs for organizing this abduction. It is about people. The people in Donetsk, the people in Crimea deserve dignity. The Tatar Muslims deserve dignity. The Jews of Ukraine deserve dignity. The Protestants, the Catholics, the Orthodox, the people who are people, no matter what their creed, no matter what their language, no matter what their ethnicity, they are all together to defend the God-given dignity of people.
Woo!
And I speak in their name to thank you and ask you not to turn back, not to turn away. It is a time of decision. The Ukrainians are not turning back. I began by saying that Friday was a tough day. I was in Washington on Friday. I had the privilege to spend some time with President Zelenskyy on Friday evening after the events. And I want to share with you a funny story that lifted the spirits of President Zelenskyy, and I hope it lifts your spirits. But it is a summation of what happened on Friday and how Ukrainians feel about it. So, Mikhailo, a soldier from Kharkiv, got leave to come back home. Do you know where Kharkiv is?
Yes.
It's 20 miles from the Russian border. It takes 40 seconds for the rockets to land there. He's been bombarded almost every day for 3 years. I was in Kharkiv this past September. Kharkiv stands. Kharkiv, which was a Russian-speaking city, a city very close to Russia, is one of the most important fortresses of Ukrainian identity and Ukrainian dignity. So, Mikhailo, that's Michael. Got the big gun now. So Mikhailo gets a leave. Why? Because his wife is about to give birth. And he drives his wife to the hospital in the morning. And at the same time, because you know it's later in Ukraine, the news is pouring out of Washington. Ukrainian social media is going crazy. All kinds of tears, all kinds of laments by some. And all of a sudden, the child is born. Little Ivan. And for the first time, after 9 months, Ivan leaves his mother and is in the arms of Mikhailo, the soldier risking his life for the dignity of his son, of his future grandchildren. But there's a problem. Ivanko, the little boy, is crying. And Mikhailo can't stop his tears. And then finally he says, "My dear little Kozak, my dear little son, for you and for Ukraine, there's no going back." You gotta face the world, Ivan. There's no going back. President Zelenskyy laughed and said, "I've got to call my wife and share this joke with you." I want to ask you to all smile. I want you to ask all of you to trust that there's a big Lord above us. We Christians are entering into Lent, and we will be on the pilgrimage to the Lord's crucifixion, which always leads to the resurrection. The passion leads to new life. Ukrainians believe in life. They believe in their dignity. They believe in eternity. That's why they go and risk their lives. Because there's something bigger than me in my 50 or 60 or 80 years. There's something bigger than me than my 150 or 200 pounds. There's something bigger than my house and my village. There's the truth. There's fellowship. There's solidarity. There's communion, community. There's others. And it's a different way of living when it's not all me, but you live for other people. Because there's no greater love than when one gives one's life for one's friends.
Amen.
This is why Ukraine stands. This is why these 3 horrendous years have been overcome. And this is why God's truth will prevail and Ukraine will continue standing with the help of people like you. God bless you and reward you hundredfold. Sisters, I don't know what confessions you belong to. Maybe you don't belong to any confession. But if I may ask, with no imposition intended, could we say a prayer together?
Yes. No. Yes.
No prayer?
No. Yes.
Separation of church and government. That's the problem right now.
Let's not delete our message.
Can we stand in silence for a moment?
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes.
All right. So everybody can, in their hearts and in their minds, stand in silence and ask and think about those who have given their lives, about the innocents who have been killed, those who have been maimed. There's 60,000 amputees. Hundreds of thousands who have been killed. Let us hold close the journalists, the medics, all the volunteers, all the donors, all those who advocate, all those who donate, all those who speak the truth, who stand for the truth, all those who believe there's something bigger than my little ego, those who are willing to hold hands across all kinds of lines for the sake of dignity and for the sake of truth. Let us be in communion with that. And may the peace and joy of our communion give us wings to fly.
Praise God.
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand for American values!
Stand for American values!
Ukraine will win!
Ukraine will win!
Ukraine wins, America wins!
Ukraine wins, America wins!
My name is Roman Kapran. I came to United States 26 years ago. I was born in the Soviet Union. I went to Soviet Union school. I was in the Soviet Union army. I know Russian logic very well. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager and adult, every single day Russian propaganda says that America is a very bad country. It's a bad people. Unless today Russia say the same. Russian TV and propaganda says the same. America is a bad country and it's a bad people. Do you know what's happened a few days ago? Russian staff says that America has some good people. Do you know who?
Yeah, Trump.
We need to stop Putin. We need to stop Russia. If you can pray. If you can donate. If you can support, call your representatives, call your senators. Do something and act. We need to do something. We need to stop Putin. America has all power, economically, military, politically, stop Russia. We need just character and we need to continue. For 3 years of war, Russia right now is very weak. And right now they have, Russian thinks that they have a good opportunity to make a peace. It's not a peace. Every time Russia uses peace to advance. And we need to do something. I want to repeat again, if you can pray for Ukraine, pray for America too. If you can donate. If you can call, write,
to your representatives, do it. And slava Ukraini!
Stand with Ukraine!
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 Stand for American values!
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 Ukraine wins, America wins!
Ukraine wins, America wins!
Listen, guys, I am 32. I lived my whole life in Pennsylvania. I lived my whole life in America. And we cannot let America be taken over by a bunch of oligarchies. That is what is happening. We need to stand up and fight in every country, every corner, until we back them down into a corner. We the people. We the people need to do it. The Democrats aren't stepping up. The Republicans have their pockets full of money. They do not care. We the people need to take a stand and do it now. I love seeing all of you out here. This needs to be 1,000 times more. And I don't know what to say. My dad died in 2022 because what he saw was happening to the country. It killed him years earlier. And it breaks my heart. And I'm kind of glad that he's gone, so he doesn't see the state that America's in. Hitler took, 59 days to come to power? I think Trump's trying to beat that. And I think we need to beat him before he gets to that point. His whole cabinet is a bunch of crooks, and they're trying to make an oligarchy out of our country. It is our country. That's the key word. Our country. We the people.
We the people!
United we stand, divided we fall, but we are not falling to this guy. God bless America, slava Ukraine.
God bless America!
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 Stand for American values!
Stand for American values!
Defend democracy!
Defend democracy!
We the people!
We the people!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand
Trump is a traitor.
Everybody say it's the other way around.
Thank you, Zelensky. Thank
you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky. Thank you, Zelensky.
Ukraine still standing.
Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine still standing. Ukraine will prevail. 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 Ukraine will prevail.
Hey, if you want to do follow, my number down.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please follow in unity line for other gatherings and events. Thank you.
God bless America and Slava Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine! Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine.
Stand with
push them to give up their weapons.
In 2016, the Russians hacked our election. In 2014, Donald Trump called the annexation of Crimea so smart. In 2022, he called the full-scale invasion brilliant. And now, is it any surprise that he's trying to cut the aid to Ukraine? Is anybody surprised? Fucking Russian puppet in the White House.
And democracy in America!
Glad to see you.
I heard about this pop-up protest of the Ukrainian community center.
Thank you for being here.